Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I interview top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest, I am so excited to interview this guest. It's Lori Stickling. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Adi.
How are you?
I'm glad to be here today. Very good.
Good. I'm glad to have you. So, Lori, you and I have been working together for about a year in terms of systematizing your business. And you and your husband, Delane, own a plumbing company in Illinois, Covenant Plumbing. And you've been doing a tremendous job of growing that company. You know, before the podcast, we talked about like how sometimes we are our worst critics and we don't really notice that, right? But when you reflect back on when you actually started a company, which was only like 4 or 5 years ago, and you went through the pandemic with it, right? And where you're at right now, it's night and day.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell the listeners about your journey, about yours and Delane's journey, and how did you actually come about to start your own company?
Yeah, well, actually, our business is 17 years old, but it's seen a few iterations. So we started in lawn irrigation install, and in Illinois, you have to be a licensed plumber. So Delane had his plumbing license, but knew lawn irrigation. And then, so we did that. And then people said, oh, will you do our plumbing for us? People we knew, building new houses, that kind of thing. So we started that. And pretty soon we had 2 crews, some doing lawn irrigation, some doing plumbing. About 2015, we had a friend who started a lawn irrigation business. We were kind of competing. And I said, you know, it really isn't the most fun industry to be in, with it being summer work and nothing in the winter, and plumbing is just much more stable. Let's sell. So we sold that piece and did new construction plumbing. But in 2018, Illinois' economy was starting to falter and building wasn't really happening. It was very competitive. And I just started saying, either I have to go back to corporate America, where I kind of came from, before we had kids, and to help my husband with his business. Or we need to figure out this small business thing and make it actually work for us, which is way better in the long run. So I started looking into how to do service plumbing better. And that was 2018. We found a best practices group called Service Nation Alliance. We started learning a lot. We started implementing processes. 2019, we stopped doing all new construction and we're only service. So in 2018, when we started this process, we were at 5 employees. Today we're at 11. And but learning so much through the years, we got new software that really helped us systematize and keep things organized, to have better processes as well. We have really worked on our customer service, and that's one of our main focuses. We've worked on core values, implementing those, and then running our business with them, which is something that you've helped us with a lot. And in the past couple of years, I've really looked at leadership as well for Delane and I. When you run a small business, you don't have to be as much a strong leader as you are just doing the work and good at the work. And so as you grow and you have more people joining your company, it's this learning experience of, I have to do better at leading and holding people accountable and communicating expectations and all of that. So it's been a journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and you and I worked a lot about increasing efficiency and tools for productivity. That was our main focus, as well as you said, implementing those core values throughout your processes, right? Your actual mission and so your processes are not disconnected from what you do, from who you are, what you really want to achieve, and how you want to achieve that. So that was the main things that we did together. let's talk about increasing efficiency. So when you and I talked, I believe it was about a year ago, I think this is a great time to give a big shout out to Leslie Harpole from, from Champion Plumbing. And she's amazing. I mean, she just had interviewed me for her podcast. I mean, she has this amazing podcast, which I'm going to put a link in this podcast as well, so people can listen to it. It's basically women in the trade, right? I mean, it's like amazing. Mm-hmm. So, I helped her in terms of organization, in terms of efficiency, and she talks about it in the podcast we did together. What was what drove you to actually seek help in terms of getting more organized? Like, where were you at that point as a business owner?
Yeah, so I just really struggled to manage my time and my tasks. And so every day, I think one of the things that you taught me, but every day I walked out of the office and I just had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I never felt like I had accomplished what I needed to get accomplished. And I knew the next day I'd come back to this mountain of work as well. But what I was doing was working so much on the business, but also on things that I didn't need to be doing. And so one of the first things that you helped me with was like, okay, what are your tasks? Go list them all, keep track of what you're doing, and realizing that there are things that I was doing a lot because I just didn't want to ask someone else to do it. I felt like I was being bossy or a slacker or something, but and a lot of things that I just like to do. I prefer to do this. It feels better. It's safer. I enjoy it. Versus passing it off and more being in a role of overseeing and managing. And so that's the biggest part of what you helped me with, was identifying all the things that I was doing, figuring out how to delegate and delegate effectively, how to manage the tasks and follow up and make sure they're being done well by the rest of my team. So all of those things were things that you immediately taught me. And then using another software called ClickUp to keep track of those things and better manage them. So it's just been really good for me to try to track my daily tasks and things that I need to do and do them better, get them done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, because I'm sure there are business owners that are listening to us right now, and they've been in the same boat, right? In terms of wearing all the hats, not delegating, things that they might be doing it, they are doing it better than others, and not really knowing how to organize it. What was the impact of actually creating that shift in your mindset? Because I've seen it, from working with you for almost a year now. There was a shift in the mindset in terms of like, yes, it's okay to let go. It's okay to delegate. What was the impact of that on you as a business owner?
I feel like it's changed so much for the better, and it's going to help us grow. It was this, sometimes it's a visual, and I know this is a podcast, but you have your fists all closed up, and sometimes you just have to release and let them go and let the things that you think are so important to you go. And that's what it's doing. Is I think I was the bottleneck, and my husband Delane too, but we were the bottlenecks here where we were trying to do all of these things. And so you can't grow and expand when you're standing in the way. And so I think it's going to free us up to be able to let other people join that can take on some of the leadership and some of the management of things. There's so much more time, and I feel this freedom of one of the things that I just always felt stressed out. So it's like, I know I've got to go spend time with my family or my kids, and I take the day off, but I was always checking my email or trying to figure out what I was missing out on or not having done. And now I just leave, and I can go. And because I know what my tasks are and what I need to have done, and I can plan for that, and I just make it happen. And it's freedom.
Totally. I think I mentioned it to you that we did a survey a few years ago, and we asked business owners, what do you like most about being a business owner? And the number one thing that came up was freedom. right? But that's, as you want to be a business owner to attain that freedom, but it doesn't always happen. So from your perspective, what do you think are the challenges that as a small business owner, as a small owner of a small, basically as an owner of a small business, what do you think are the main challenges that people face?
I think it is time. And it's knowing how to do things. So, one of the reasons I came to you was I heard Leslie talk about you in, it may have been a group around Service Titan, like Lady Titans, I think. And I heard that and I thought, that's exactly what I need is someone, I feel like I have a little ADHD or, there's so many things. And so you're constantly multitasking and trying to get it all done. And it was like, how do I do better with my time management? And I think that was the number one thing I came to you with, Adi, was I need to learn how to manage my time. I know I have to get better at that. And so I think that when you can learn how to manage your time better, you just do the things that are important. You learn to delegate and check on the other things. And you don't have to work 10 hours a day. You don't have to work 50 hours a week. I hope to this summer, work from home 2 days a week, but also maybe take a day off a week to spend with my 14-year-old daughter who is going to be home for the summer. So it's stuff like that I think you have to learn to manage. And it's what your expectations are and how you follow up on those. And it's been really good.
Absolutely. I'm going to answer this question. I've done several interviews about it. And I think that's also, Leslie and I talked a lot about that. But it is, you're working in the business with your husband, and I
Yes.
did several podcasts on that when I interviewed husbands and wives. And I like to ask this question because it also, it helps others that are working with their spouses, in terms of really figuring out what works, what not. I've done a podcast, I believe, with Dre Selman, and we have that. I'm going to put it in the show notes. Dre Slayman. We did a podcast together, and I'm going to put it in the show notes. She also works with her husband, and she gave really good advice on how to work together and how does it work. So for you, from your perspective, what do you think are the biggest challenges of working with your spouse in the business?
Yeah. Adi, you've helped us with that too, is my husband and I have a great relationship. We respect each other and we can really strongly disagree and 10 minutes later have a normal relationship. And that blows some people away. They don't understand that because a lot of people maybe hold a grudge or silent treatment or whatever. And we're not like that. But what we found is other people don't realize that. So when you're, we've had to learn how to manage that. But it's understanding our hats. And one of the hard things for us has been that Delane he has taken the role of service manager, more operational, and I have kind of stepped into that CEO role. And sometimes, not all that often, but there are times when that does come into play and it doesn't feel comfortable always, but it's someone has to make a decision and move on, or I'm asking you this question as your leader, not as your wife. And so it's the hat issue. And so that was what you did, Adi, was you said the hats, change your hat. And so I have this motion that I do with my head now. It's I am putting on the hat that it's the CEO hat. I'm not your wife right now. And I'm going to talk about this. It's helped us a little bit just to know where we're coming from. Hey, I know this. I don't want to be the nagging wife right here. I'm asking you to be accountable to this, or to tell me real results or what you're doing with this issue.
Absolutely. So any other advice in terms of working with your spouse that have worked with you? Because you helped Delane now for many years, throughout the iteration of the business, right? What other things helped you actually? And you have a great marriage and you have a great relationship and you have 3 kids and, you are very active at your church and you live, you have your own personal core values and you created that beautiful family and you still manage to work together. So what what other advice would you give to people out there that are working with their spouses?
I think at the end of the day, it's just about respecting each other. And he's my best friend, and we just enjoy what we're doing, and this drives us. I think we both have a mutual desire to do the best thing for our employees and our customers, and we just love being here and doing this together and dreaming about what we can create for the future for our family and our employees' families, and so it is more about, if you have that passion. If you don't, you might have to think about that, but understanding your passion, realizing it, and just working hard.
Absolutely. We mentioned the connection between processes and the core values, right? So you definitely demonstrated that is very important, because you can write processes. You can have processes in the company that have nothing to do with what you believe in or how you want people to behave or how you want them to act, right? So that integration of processes and core values, how important is it to you? Like, what difference did it actually make in the business once you start doing that?
Well, first, I'm going to plug you a little bit in this, because we had our core values. We always have been very strong on, believing in doing the right thing and operating with integrity and honesty, and working as a team and being positive. All of those were our core values. But then when you started working with me, you were like, well, how are you doing your reviews? How are you holding people accountable? How are you doing these things? And they had nothing to do with our core values. So you really taught us, so those are our processes too, and every day it's document, take notes. We take pictures of all of our jobs and put it in Service Titan so that we can look at it and make sure we did the right work. Delaying reviews all of the pictures every day. If he feels like something wasn't done well, we go out and fix it so he can evaluate and do, just the best customer service we can provide. But those processes tie back to our core values. And in the end too, it's holding when we're talking to our employees and doing reviews and those things, it's, hey, this is how your performance met those core values. That was something, you really reiterated that or helped us learn how to do that better. But everything we do now, it can be like, well, that behavior or that thing you just did is not in line with our values. And so it's helped us kind of, I don't want to say revolutionize, because we have a long way to go, but it's changing our culture. It's changing the way that we communicate, and for the better. So we all can be on the same page and I always picture it's like a team of horses, right? Like we're all pulling the same way, in the same direction and working together. So
that's beautiful. That's definitely the direction we were going for. So that's really cool. So Lori, what's the future like?
Well, it's a lot of work, but we're trying to grow again this year by 50%. And I think that's our goal, is just to keep going and maybe add a few other lines of business as we go. We have a son graduating from high school who wants to come in eventually after he gets some schooling. So it's bright for us. We just want to keep growing steadily. And we're not like the people that are going to probably be $100 million company. We're going to just be slow and steady and do things that we can manage and grow our employees and let them have success in life. And I just would like to create something that will change, leave a legacy for our family. So it's something that we can always look at what we built and what we've created, and through hard work and faith and just integrity.
That's beautiful. And one of the things that you do is you always try to improve yourself. You are part of different groups. You are definitely part of the community and very, very involved in it, right? And everything that you do has that purpose. Even when we work together, and one of the things that we did in order for the time management or improve the time abilities, like really manage your communications, right? In terms of your emails, in terms of how do you communicate internally, in terms of putting the right systems in place. And that allowed you, it was always like you wanted to have more time so you can spend it with the family, spend it with your group, spend it with the community, spend it with your church, spend it on yourself. So it's really, you really show that having a higher purpose, it's really important in order to push forward the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, for sure. And then also it allows you to have time to then look at other avenues of marketing or networking or involvement and all of that. So absolutely. I've seen that firsthand, and that's how you operate and what you do. So definitely well done on that.
It was like I just needed the tools. And so, organizing email, going from 600 to today, I have 55 emails in my email inbox, which isn't great, but I had 600 when you started helping me.
Right. And we're going for the inbox zero because we know that it can be done. It's just a matter of discipline. That's another point. It's discipline, right? I mean, as a business owner, you have to have the discipline to actually continue because, I can give you the tools, I can work with you, but it's the accountability and the discipline to actually implement it that is very, very important.
Absolutely. So it's given me, and I will say, one of the things I really struggled with was community outreach, networking, some of that stuff. And I just today, before this, I went to a Chamber of Commerce lunch meeting, and it's different things like that I have made a priority. Where before it was like, well, I don't have time. I can't possibly get out of the office and do those things because I have so many things I need to get done today. So thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. And thank you for making, for improving and building the business, because this is really our building blocks, of our communities, is those businesses like yours. When you and Delane, are just like committed and creating work and a sane workplace for others to actually thrive and support their families. I mean, this is really what we are creating here, is this whole economy and this whole community. So very well done to both you and Delane for everything that you do. I mean, this is definitely a model company, and I know you're going to grow and definitely expand.
Well, thank you. I know that, we needed to work on ourselves before we could look at growing much more than we are. It's kind of the law of the lid, is a John Maxwell leadership thing, but always trying to lift it and get better. And I feel like that's definitely something you've helped us with.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Lori, for being a guest on this podcast. You definitely, I'm sure you inspired other entrepreneurs to continue to improve themselves and continue to do better and increase efficiency, so you can actually have those final results. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, because it's better to own your own business and be your own boss any day of the week.
I agree 100%. Or if you want to work for others, it's totally fine as well, but then look for a company that actually has those qualities, because that's what you are creating for your employees, that environment that they feel empowered, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes I will say, and at the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, why are we doing this? So there is a lot less stress if you can just go into someone else's business and help them make it better. There's opportunity everywhere if you can learn and grow and be amazing.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, Lori, Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, Adi. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.